Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and a quick update on how our 2025 is going. At the start of this year, I kind of redid the way for the previous 5 years I had been like, I created this 50 and this long list of books that I was like, I was going to target, I was going to get those books. And I did really well over those years. Most of the books you see behind me were part of that list. Actually, I think all of the books you see behind me were part of that list at some point that were books that I wanted to get. And I did really good. But for 2025, I wanted to change the way I was kind of going to go about this. And instead of like having a list of like 25, 30, 50 books, I was going to just like think about some categories I wanted to collect in, have some subcategories under that, and then just kind of look for deals that like worked within those, look for books that I had interest in that I thought, was a good deal at the time, or things that were, and just trying to be more flexible within boundaries. And so at the start of the year, if you watched my video back then in January, I talked about that I was going to have like 4 goals or 4 categories and then a few like targets underneath those categories. And they were basically, if you watch my channel, anything, were bats, spiders, female first appearances and covers, and then Star Wars / One Piece stuff. And so those were, as I dropped my my little boards there, those were my big targets for not just for 2025, but just kind of going forward. And it was basically like within the bats, like focusing on like Golden Age Catwoman stuff, which I'd started collecting, Batgirls, Robin, Sirens, first appearances, which I have most of those, but also just covers and cool keys with them. A little bit of the Golden Age Star Spangled, the Robin stuff, and then just like fun covers or art or whatever. Under my spiders, it was kind of an MJ Gwen, under like 100 cover appearances, because there's not that many of them. Other female spider related character first appearances, villain keys, those kind of things, because I'm never going to go after like an ASM1 or some of those early big villain keys. Because they're way out of my budget. And then just kind of continued like Golden Age Wonder Woman, a little bit of Golden Age Good Girl, something along those lines. First appearances for female characters. Those were kind of my big groupings that I was going to kind of look at. But I did go on and make a like 2025 like hunt list in terms of like, I gave myself like 10 targets. It's really like 13, as you'll see when you look at this. And I really haven't done a whole lot on it. Like McDaniel Nightwing pages, Giant Size X-Men, which is way beyond the level of any book I've ever bought. Some Golden Age Catwoman, Golden Age Wonder Woman. A couple of those books I talked about related to MJ and Gwen on ASM. Some stuff related to Barbara Gordon as Oracle. Those 4 books that kind of relate to her beginning as Oracle. So you can see, and I haven't checked very much off that list. And we're going to go through what I have gotten. Kind of talk about how I got sidetracked a little bit, and then we're going to talk about my goal for the rest of the year. So you can see on the thing, one of the books that was on my top 10 kind of list was the first appearance of the second Black Canary, the original Golden Age Black Canary's daughter, the one that we know and follow now. If you've read the Black Canary Best of the Best, you understand the relationship between her mother and her. This is obviously the daughter. Her first appearance was in Justice League 75. This is a super cheap book, super undervalued, in my opinion. People don't really recognize that these are technically different characters. This is her first appearance. Like the modern Black Canary's first appearance really is here. But, yeah, which was to my benefit. I got a nice 7.0 copy of this book from 1969. Super happy to have grabbed that this year and added it to my collection. Another thing you saw on that list were the Barbara Gordon books, which was, of course, related to Oracle. This is Suicide Squad number 23. The 4 books are 23, 38, 48, and 49. This is where basically we first get Oracle in the story, in the Suicide Squad story. And it's basically a voice coming through telling them what to do, like that kind of thing. The voice over the mic. People don't know who it is. We don't find out who it is until later, which is in 38. And then in 48 and 49 is where we get the origin of how she became Oracle. So that's why those 4 books I kind of clustered. I got this one for super cheap early in the year. And yeah, was glad to kind of knock that off the list. Still got to get those other Barbara Gordon keys related to Becoming Oracle. And then I went off the rails a little bit in terms of, which is something I wanted to leave myself the ability to do this year. I was unable to go to Planet Comic Con because I'd had foot surgery. I was not up and mobile enough to go to a con. There were one of the artists that was there that I really wanted to get a book signed and slabbed by was Adam Hughes. I wanted to meet him, and it didn't happen. He was supposed to be there back in 2020 and it got canceled because of COVID, and then he was going to be in this year, and then I couldn't go because I had foot surgery. So I just broke down and grabbed went on the internet and got me a Catwoman Adam Hughes signed book. Was this probably it was just something I wanted. It was a fun purchase. Wasn't super expensive. And yeah, so got one of those Catwoman covers signed by him in a slab. So was really happy to do that. Didn't have to go through the trouble of doing it myself to get it slabbed at least. Still would love to meet him someday, but I did get an Adam Hughes signature. Another book I bought that was not planned to be a signature book, but a book that was kind of just related to my female character interests. You guys know I have like the first appearance of Carol Danvers. I have her first as Miss Marvel. I have several other keys related to her. I have her first as Captain Marvel, and several other books related to Carol. So they're first in the black costume, Miss Marvel number 20 from 1978. And yeah, we grabbed this, and as a bonus, like I just seen this. It's a super cheap, verified signature by Dave Cochran on the inside. Couldn't really pass that up. It's obviously back in the day. This is when they signed them on the inside. So yeah, Dave Cochran, Bob Wysick. So yeah, I grabbed that. All those books were super affordable, super like low value, that kind of stuff. All of this was before end of March. And actually also before the end of March, I bought one of the big book that you saw crossed off on my list, which was this Wonder Woman number 49. Book that was mentioned in The Seduction of the Innocent because, it implied Wonder Woman was, like might be gay, and oh my gosh. And so, yeah. So anyway, I love this yellow cover, war or battle cover. Just a gorgeous book. And yeah, an early Wonder Woman, something I'd been wanting anyway. And one of my favorite covers from this era of Wonder Woman, the cat is wants to play. So yeah, so this was my big purchase of the year, really. The only kind of big purchase of the year I've made. And then I've done nothing basically in terms of big goals since then. I have a bunch of books that I picked up as like run fillers. Like I've gotten a lot of Birds of Prey run fillers and some Catwoman run fillers and some other run fillers. But otherwise, really haven't done much. Back finally, like a couple weeks ago, late June, I did go on. The other artist that I missed at Planet Con was Jeff DeCall. And I went ahead, and my favorite DeCall cover is this Emma Frost cover. This was like a $60 book, signed, slabbed. I couldn't pass it up. So yeah, we went on and grabbed that. So that was the other artist I kind of missed at Planet Con and did that. And that's basically been my year, other than like run fillers and stuff. I haven't spent a whole lot of money on anything. The reason is I've been going back and forth about what I was going to do. Because if you notice, like, one of the books on this is a Giant Size X-Men number 1. Basically, like 3 of probably like my 5 or 6 favorite X-Men ever. Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, all are first appearance in that book. But it's a book I've just like put away because it's too expensive. Like I've been unwilling to spend. Basically, only one time I've ever spent more than $500 on a book. Generally, I try to keep it under $400 on a book. It's budget collecting for a reason. I just can't hardly justify doing that. I put it on my list. I'm like, will I go for something bigger? And the answer is I'm going to. I've got a little bit saved up, but I'm still cash investment, keeping myself to that kind of limit, which does not get me a Giant Size X-Men. $500 of cash investment does not get me anywhere close. But the book has come down significantly from where it was during the boom. So I'm going to use my collection to try to make this happen this year. Basically, I got to sell some books. I got to liquidate in order to justify, in my mind, spending that much on a comic. It has to, most of the money has to come from book comics I already own. That's just the way it's got to be. So I'm going to have to get rid of some stuff that I love in order to make this happen. And so I've set aside 2 books for sure that you will be seeing either on my short box or on my Instagram probably in the next few days going up. If people are interested, then I'm going to be putting up for sale. That if they both go with what I got, I should be super close to being able to maybe do something on a giant size. I may have to sell a couple other books, but I don't want to sell like 10. Like I don't want to sell like $10 $100 books or something to try to get there. That effort is too much. So these are 2 of the more expensive and valuable books in my collection that I'm talking about moving. And they are, one of the books is a book I haven't really had that long. I actually got it last fall as I was wrapping up my run at the 50. One of the things I'd always had was like sci-fi, good girl art. And I love this book. And it's been in my background this whole year. This Planet Comics number 65 and a 1.8. It's an absolutely gorgeous 1.8. It's absolutely like the cover looks super clean. It is complete. It's got a spine split. That's basically what you're looking at here, folks. And but yeah, this 1.8 has sold a couple times since I bought it for significantly more than I bought it for. And so the sales on this have went up. And honestly, it doesn't, as much as I love the book, it doesn't really fit my collection. I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I have it. And I have images of me having it. But ultimately, this was always going to be a book that I was going to move. This is not a book I'm keeping until I'm gone. This was a book that, I'm, like I said, glad I had it in my collection. So I'm going to be moving this. So if you know a Golden Age collector that's interested, have them reach out. But yeah, that book is going to be moving. The other one's a little harder, yet easier. And that is a book that you're like, I just talked about being part of my goals, which is Amazing Spider-Man number 61 and a 9.2 first cover appearance of Gwen Stacy. Recent sales on this book, like almost $600, which is up significantly from where it had been. Love this book. But due to the kindness of the community, when I was like originally looking for this, I also got an AOK of this book, or 2 A. These were both AOKs. That is probably like a 6.5, which fits right in the range of most of my Silver Age Spider-Man stuff. I obviously haven't sent it in. I think I'm going to part with this. This is probably going to go. So if you're a high-grade ASM collector from Silver Age, hit me up. I have another copy that I can get slabbed. But whether or not I slab it or not, I have it. And yeah, you got to make sacrifices to get stuff you want. Selling these 2 books probably get me there or get me very close, depending on what the deals I end up making are. So yeah, these are the books that are going to be going. So this is where I'm at. My goal for the rest of the year is move these 2 books, maybe a couple others, and get myself a giant size to add to the collection. Obviously, I'm going to really miss having these books, but the fact that I had them for part of my thing, it's always going to be a part of like my records of like what I had and what I didn't. Like I keep track of stuff that I move along, and one I'm already got a replacement for, and the other will just help me get something I really want. So that is my update. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will. Oh, before we go, we're going to shout out my members. Thank you to all of those folks that help me keep this channel going. Really appreciate you folks for helping me cover StreamYard costs and that kind of stuff. And with that, we will catch you guys next time. Later.